welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber William, and this is Mono Blue Delver. William is interested in Legacy, new to the format, partially inspired by my channel, which, by the way, is one of my favorite things to hear. I love when people start playing Legacy because they watch some of my stuff. The highest compliment possible. This deck has a pretty approachable price of entry into the Legacy format. There are no dual lands. There's only one reserve list card. Can you see it? I'll give you a second. It's Powder Keg in the sideboard, which is not even necessary. Powder Keg is just sort of a slightly different Ratchet Bomb, which is also in the sideboard. Ratchet Bomb destroys all non-land permanents equal to the number of counters on it. Powder Keg only gets lands and artifacts and creatures. And the reason that distinction is important is Powder Keg can hit artifact lands, while Ratchet Bomb specifically says non-land. Keg can't get enchantments, planeswalkers. Bomb can't completely mana wrath a painter player, so slightly different, but mostly the same, and you don't need this Powder Keg to actually play the list. The deck itself is the full epitome of original Delver of Secrets. Back before we had all these draw engines like Dreadhorde Arcanist and Wrenn and 6 and Expressive Iteration and all these things that have gotten banned, and even now creatures have outclassed Delver. Even in the Delver shell, we're seeing Core Steelcutter and Dragon's Rage Channeler over the traditional Delver of Secrets. This deck does not want to grind. It wants to deal 20 damage and get out of here before the opponent stabilizes. It is using the original man himself, Jeff Goldblum, the Delver of Secrets, to do that. We've got Murktide Regent at the top end, and then there's kind of a smattering of other stuff in the middle. This list is inspired by some lists pulled off Magic Online. William found a few in the trophy dumps and in a challenge top 8. Fairy Vandal is an interesting one. Flash Flying, when you draw your second card, you turn, put a +1 counter on this. So this is if you preordain or ponder on your turn, it gets a counter because you've already drawn for your turn. If you brainstorm on either turn, it'll trigger. And it has Flash, being able to hold up your Spell Snare, your Spell Pierce, your Stern Scolding, the Stifle, the full, again, sampler platter of interaction. And if the opponent doesn't do anything, you drop this in. Classic Magic play pattern. Bloodpit's Drowner. This is a meta call because this deck is probably horrendous versus a card like Barrowgoyf. Even Reanimator, like if we get them down to a moderate life total and then they go to reanimate an Atraxa, we can tap and stun the Atraxa in response to the Atraxa trigger and maybe get one more swing through. And Brazen Borrower, just one of the top creatures played in Legacy right now. Very good against most decks. And it's a 3/1 flyer. Besides, other cards you could play in these slots are things like Fairy Mastermind, which would be better than Floodpit's Drowner if you expect more combo and control than creature decks. The card Ledger Shredder comes to mind as well. You don't get the flash that you do of Fairy Vandal, but you do get a little more card velocity. Like if we do need to keep cards moving, get the conditional Stifles and Spell Pierces out of the way to fuel Murktide. Ledger Shredder might be better there. We're just trying stuff. William wanted to see this in action before actually pulling the trigger to spend money on it. And what exactly we're doing with our flex slots are not as important as the overall play pattern. So this is the deck I'm playing today. Let's see how it goes. This is Mono Blue Delver. I'm on the play in round 1. I am going to keep this hand. This is one land with the spread of 1 mana things I could do. 2 different cantrips, a counterspell, and a Stifle. 2 counterspells, in fact. 2 different cantrips, 2 different counters, and a Stifle. I'm going to spend turn 1 just playing Scalding Tarn and passing, and seeing if I could get the maximum cheese on this Stifle. If I don't, I'll ponder looking for my next land on turn 2 and try to keep things moving forward. There are 18 lands in this deck, including the 4 Wastelands and 1 Sink into Stupor. Ponder, that resolves. They just had a straight-up island. No chance to get them with a Stifle. And I'll just go to my turn and hope there's a land in my 5 cards I'm going to look at here. Ponder. Sick. Okay. Murktide is a ways away. I want the Flooded Strand immediately. Wasteland floating on top of the deck is useful, and I'll pass. continuing to hold up Spell Snare and Stifle. Swamp, okay. They fully played around Stifle. Thoughtseize. Card's a pain in the ass. Alright. They might just take my only threat here. I have no way of knowing at this point whether this is some basic heavy Dimir mid-range deck. I actually worked on a deck like that with a coaching client very recently. And the alternative is it's just Dimir Reanimator who happened to draw their 2 basics. I didn't shuffle because I do want to play Fairy Vandal and get the party moving. I am going to ponder here. I'd like to find a counterspell. I want to change the information. God. I don't want any of those lands. Looking at 3 lands. Found another Stifle. Not ideal, and I am tapped out. But changing the information was important there. If they are Reanimator, knowing exactly what my pressure points to interact with them are is not ideal. Oh, no attack. How would I draw 2 cards at instant speed? Or are you just worried about the beatdown on the backswing? Alright, I'm going to preordain. I can Spell Snare or Bowmaster if they have that. And if they don't have that, I get to attack for 3. Well, I get to attack for 3 regardless. Alright, well, you knew I had this. A Force of Will pitching Murktide Regent. Okay, so this does look like Dimir mid-range. You can't kill Fairy Vandal here. But of course Bowmaster is quite good against my deck. Oh god, here we go. I'm going to bottom Ponder, and I guess I'm going to bottom both. These cards are just not useful to me. I'm going to play Island, and I think I got to attack. This game is not getting better for me if I wait. We're both attacking for 3, but I got the attack first. Unfortunately, it's just Dismember in my main deck. Or I have Brazen Borrowers, I guess. Mostly just Dismember in my main deck to fight a Bowmaster, though. Is Tamiyo just not interested in being part of the game? Attack with Fairy Vandal. Might get a block Brainstorm here. They've been saving it for something. Wow. Alright, just chump blocking apparently is the answer. Now they are winning the race, but if I stop attacking, I have the biggest creature. Entomb. Alright, great. So they are Entomb with Murktide and Bowmaster main. Not every list of Reanimator has Bowmaster. It comes and goes out of the list based on metagame considerations. So figuring out what they're not playing is kind of important here. All right, well, can't stop that. I can stifle the entry trigger. And now I need Brazen Borrower, basically immediately. Another Tamiyo, sure. Okay, Brazen Borrower is the play that lets me keep playing the game. Delver's not it. All right, GG. I could stifle an Archon attack trigger, but I don't have enough meat to actually beat this Archon. Best deck in the format, immediately put to the test here. But that does confirm in the kind of annoying way that they actually did just start the game on their 2 basics. This deck has 2 basic lands in it. It's a Fetchland Wasteland mana base with 2 basics, and they just had Island Swamp to play around my 2 Wastelands and 2 Stifles I drew that game. So that could have been different with all the same cards drawn by me in most universes. Okay, Spell Snare, Spell Pierce, Preordain, Flusterstorm. I think I want my answers to stuff in. Obviously, the graveyard hates coming in. This is bold and maybe reckless, but I really don't believe in Force of Will in any deck versus the Reanimator decks. Maybe a Beanstalk deck you would keep it in because you need your Bean synergy. But sitting there with Force blue card Surgical in your hand when they just play Tamiyo and Bowmaster, you're going to lose that game. Blood Pit's Drowner, this is what you're for. Can't really cut a land here. And in addition, the things that I really want to Force of Will in this matchup are the things that the 4 cards I'm bringing in deal with 1 for 1 or 1 X for 1. Dismember could kill something like Baragoi for Bowmaster, but it hurts to do that. Yeah, I think I'm going to shave some Dazes too. Like, this is not... I don't think this is mapped out particularly well. Either that or I'm overboarding. But this is a matchup we're going to have to understand how it works. Okay, I can mulligan to Graveyard Hate or keep this hand that does some things. I will keep this hand that does some things. As they've seen Stifle and Spell Snare in my decks now, and Daze, hopefully they just take it slow. Ponder, okay. The card Thoughtseize is a very good one. I'm glad they didn't have it right away. They did not shuffle Ponder. I actually am going to fetch here because I don't want to draw a land. And I did anyway. Scoreboard. At some point I have to stop because there are only 5 fetchable lands in the deck, and I'm looking at 3 of them, and I'm about to fetch a 4th. So this Polluted Delta is almost out of hits. Upkeep and Tomb. Well, that's a good check, because if I had a counterspell, I would use it here. That doesn't rule out Surgical Extraction. I actually am going to leave this fetch land unchecked because Brainstorm's in my deck somewhere. I'm not loving my chances here. And this is why the Reanimator deck's so strong. And I'm not complaining, I'm just narrating what I see. The Reanimator deck is just so good at, once they have a monster in the graveyard, the whole game becomes tense about that. Like if this was Dimir Tempo, I would feel fine. They don't have any threats in play. I have the next 2 or 3 answered, whether in a hard or soft kind of way. But knowing that if they just cast Reanimate, I suck. Not ideal. They seem content to play Draw Go with me for now, though. I haven't flashed in any of my creatures because Bowmaster just eating something for free on arrival is so bad for me. Preordain. Alright, well, let's sniff out that Bowmaster. My goodness, what a surprise. Bowmaster resolves. I have to dismember it. So it'd be a devastating place for them to win a counter war or have a second Bowmaster. I guess second Bowmaster doesn't matter because I have days. Delver, Grafdigger's Cage. I actually like this. Top. Play another land. Get Cage out here. That's one less thing I'm worried about if I can have this Cage. And step fetch. They probably have another Surveil in the deck. They usually play 2. The Orc's going in. Here's this giant asshole. I can tempo around this thing for a while. Delver of Secrets. And I'm gonna pass. I have to decide when I'm gonna drown. Probably their upkeep. Fatal Push. Disappointing. Okay, that's pushed. Alright, Dr. Owner. Freeze up that Barrogoyf. Give me a turn to think. Turn to breathe. Fatal Pushing this as well, so now I can't shuffle away the Barrogoyf. Just have to pretend it's not there for 2 turns. Murktide. Pretty good against that with the Brazen Borrowers, but my Borrowers are starting to get overtaxed. Okay, Ponder. I'll start there. Ooh, another Dismember. That's actually quite good. Gives me a chance. Alright, Stifle, Vandal, Dismember. Don't shuffle. There's already an instant in the graveyard. I get to ignore Barrogoyf for a minute, so I'm gonna just Petty Theft the Murktide. Days, huh? Alright, fetch. They did kind of force a shuffle there after I kept my Ponder, but that's fine. They get another Surveil out of that too. 1 fetchable left in my deck. Thoughtseize, chill. Alright, well, I better kill this Barrogoyf while I can. I'm gonna lose to this Orc army, just the passive remaining damage. Alright, -5 the Goyf. And they could just Thoughtseize the Brazen Borrower, replay the Murktide, and I can't deal with that either. Yeah, it's tough when the combo deck at the top of the format is also the better tempo deck than the mono blue dedicated tempo deck. You got to get up under them and stay there, but the Barrogoyf, the Murktide, these gears are just too strong. I would think we're massively unfavored in game 1, and then game 2, we need to both have graveyard hate and be up under them. Well, mine's bigger. You're saying there's a chance. Is mine bigger? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I've only actually cast 4 spells this game. That sucks. I could play Brazen Borrower, pick up a land, daze it. Oh wait, 6. There's a 6/6. Mine is bigger, even if it's not full size. Okay. I don't need to do the crazy shit of dazing my own Brazen Borrower to get an 8/8. Okay, if they're out of gas, we have a chance. If they have anything left, we're in trouble. Okay, this reads like an Orcish Bowmaster, but I'm still gonna engage. Yeah, that's fine. Their Murktide had to go. That's just true. So if I had just played 3 spells this, or 5 spells this game instead of 3 or 4, we would be way ahead and they wouldn't have had an attack that turn. God damn. Oh, yeah, Bowmaster is devastating for this deck. Alright. Okay, the card Orcish Bowmaster kind of soloing the deck is something that needs to be figured out. If the metagame's in a spot where there's not a lot of this, like I said, it's a flex slot in Reanimator. It's not surprising, but it is a flex slot. It's not in Oops, it's not in any of the Stompy decks, so your mileage may vary. how you react to Bowmaster with your deck. You could play some gut shots or something like that. More spell snares, maybe. Just creatures that aren't X1s to start. That is a tough showcase for this deck when lined up against the best deck in the format that happens to also include Bowmaster. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2. I'm going to keep... I got lands, I got Spell Snare, that can line up pretty well when you're on the draw. Polluted Delta. I'm on Stifle off the top. Disappointing. Okay, Days pass. Or Island pass. Days. Days is in my hand. Meticulous Archive. Okay. Polluted Delta Meticulous Archive is interesting. Brainstorm. I'm not going to daze them and set myself back my only land right here. I would have Spell Pierce that if I had it, or Flusterstorm, but daze, the cost is too big. Basic Island Ponder. Okay. All right, the third Daze. That's definitely the number I want to see in a game. Cameo. That card's really good. I think I'm going to end step Fairy Vandal. We're against Esper something or other. Esper Tameo. Okay, my Vandal survived. Preordain off the top. Good find. Please Bowmaster me. I'm so ready. All right, we did it. We did it. Daze found a home. Feels good. Please Force of Will this. Bummer. Stifle and Daze. Well, there's all 4 Dazes. I'll put that to the bottom. Is Stifle something I want anymore? I think so. Like, they're about to represent Tameo Planeswalker. I am going to attack. All right, cool. That's 2 opponents in a row scared to block my 2-3. That's already triggered with their 0-3. What are they worried about happening? And I could stifle Kaito Ninjutsu, which is why I made this attack. If I stifle Kaito, then Daze Tameo on the way back down, that's a pretty insane turn. If I didn't have the stifle, I would not have attacked. Okay, no Kaito. Prismatic Ending for 2. That's the right number. Spell Snare. Cool. They could have paid more for that, but they didn't. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying they could have paid more for that, and they didn't. I'm going to waste this Underground Sea and try to keep them off black for a while. Fetching in response, stifle that. If they have Daze on my stifle, they can save their Underground Sea. We got a really guy in the chat. Yeah, really. Read the card. It's there. It's on the stack. All those times I've shit on stifle. I do think stifle is a bad card for what it's worth. But this game is still going. Like a Brainstorm, and then they have Tameo Planeswalker, which is really tough for me. Okay, so I am going to attack. I've wasted them off black, which was the goal. If they have another black land and suddenly have Kaito, which they didn't have last turn, I guess we got to live in that world. All right, here's the Brainstorm that flips the Tameo. I'm probably just going to have to Brazen Borrow this Planeswalker at some point. All right, Tameo flips. I can attack it for 1 a turn. Wasteland, you'll find no purchase here. It is a 3rd mana, which could matter for days. Oh, sick. Alright, now I get to hit Tameo for 2 instead of 1. That's big. Schmirky Rage. I want these cards, I just have to decide what order they're in. I think it's Murktide down, Preordained Delta. Hit the land drop while I've got it. And then I can Preordain into Murktide next turn. Spend all my mana, trigger Fairy Vandal, and still have Murktide in play. And if they want to Wasteland my Polluted Delta to force a shuffle, I will take that exchange all day. But I think... Oh, didn't even crack a clue. All right, cool. Uh-oh, black mana unlocked. We're back in the shitter. Okay, plus Tameo again. 3 cards in their hand. Orcish Bowmaster's back online. Fatal Push. I'm going to Preordain and try to get this Murktide in the grip. All right, probably going to lose this Brainstorm because I do plan to cast Murktide. Fairy Vandal's doing work here. Attack Tameo down to 1. A Petty Theft, resetting my Vandal, not ideal, but resolving a big Murktide here is pretty nice. Tameo can pick up Prismatic Ending, Brainstorm, or Ponder. None of those deal with Murktide. Maximum size. And I can double Days of Swords to Plowshares. That's not even good, though, because they could just pick that up with Tameo. Okay, cracked a clue. They get to look at a lot of cards here. Tameo could, of course, go in this deck. I don't think it's necessarily correct because dealing 20 is this deck's goal, and Tameo does not do that at all. This is a deck that could conceivably draw 22 cards if Tameo goes ultimate and still not win, because you still have to then present a Murktide Regent and hit with it 3 times to win. Tameo bought back Ponder. They're digging for that card. That's Swords to Plowshares or go for the throat or whatever it is they got. Shuffled that Ponder. Love to see it. Wasteland, love to see that too. It still pays for Days. It's weird that Wasteland's good against my deck, even though Wasteland's bad against my deck. Thoughtseize. Yeah, dig in. It's a mess over here. Thoughtseizing means they can't play Brazen Borrower as a blocker this turn. But that might also mean they have another Brazen Borrower or a Swords to Plowshares and just need to make sure I don't have Force before they go for it. Taking the Doctor. That's the correct amount of respect for that card. Okay, we got to my turn. Oh, and I drew the best card I could have. I am not respecting Tameo. I've got them dead in 2 hits, and that is now my job. Even through Tameo, that is true. Right, cracking the last clue, and 5-card hand has to stop Murktide through Force of Will, double Days. Plus Tameo, they're only taking 7 now. That's enough. Brainstorm, don't love it, but okay. A lot of looks. Do I want to play Fairy Vandal in the end step? Probably not. Swords to Plowshares, well. Now I'm pitching the Fairy Vandal to Force. That's happening. That was a very good draw. Forcing me back, and now Brazen Borrower's lethal. Deal. Yeah, that 1 life matters a lot. End step, Brazen Borrower from hand. If they have Days, wow, another Force. That's so nasty. All right, Force down to 0, and they know my hand is 2 Dazes. Okay. Dang. All right, well, now we're screwed. That was the fight that we needed to win. And cards like Days, while very good in the first 3 turns of the game, very bad at this point of the game. Tameo running away with it here. Brazen Borrower still available to block. Now I wish the deck did have Gutshot in it to deal with Orcish Bowmaster, because it also deals with opponents who are at 1. Conveniently. Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried here, except that the Tameo's going. Again, another game defined by this card existing. But also I've chosen to play colors that can't remove it. Prismatic Ending bought out of the graveyard. Delver's gone. And remember, this is the game where I Wasteland Stifled on that turn, took them off an entire color. All right, Kaito confirmed. And at the time I said, we'll see if I even win. And look, I didn't win. That's why I don't think Stifle's a very good card. Because you can have these powerful looking early exchanges, but then if your opponent just like hits 2 land drops, it doesn't matter. All right, we can never win this game. True Name Nemesis actually looks really good here. Brazen Borrower looks good. Ratchet Bomb could kill Tameo. Spell Snare gets Bowmaster. Stern Scolding gets most of the things we saw. Flusterstorms might be mediocre. I don't think I want Ratchet Bomb just for Tameo. Are there better answers? I mean, we could play like Into the Floodmaw if we're really desperate for a 1-mana answer to a Tameo. But I don't think we are that desperate. I'm going to shave a Daze and a Drowner. I think I want my Force of Wills in, because there's going to be key fights that we need to win. And mid-range decks with Swords to Plowshares are the nightmare scenario for a tempo Murktide Regent deck. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Brainstorm and Wasteland are good cards. I don't think I can afford to mulligan a hand that is capable of playing the game in this 17-land deck. Just got to trust Brainstorm to not draw 3 more lands. All right, Ponder. Let's do stuff. Brainstorm before that Bowmaster can kick in. I'll put back one of the Wastelands and Island. How many islands am I actually going to need? Do I want to keep all the Wastelands? I could put Murktide back for a while. No, I think I'm going to put lands away. And I will hold up Spell Snare rather than Ponder here. You got to respect Stifle. I'm going to fetch in my upkeep to hold Stifle up the whole time. Didn't draw it. That's okay. Now I could ponder into Bowmaster. I have Spell Snare. I think I want to get a little setup before I just run True Name out, even though that is what I would like to have, of course. A Preordain. I like the spell velocity, and then I can decide if I want to draw another land next turn. It depends on what they fetch with this Delta. I probably don't want another land next turn, regardless. No fetch. Hard to know if they're playing around Stifle or just didn't have anything. Okay, now they know I don't have Stifle. Oof. Alright, Thoughtseize off of a basic. They have fully played around all of my soft interaction here. Probably losing this True Name Nemesis, because that is the card that I brought in to be good against their deck full of white removal. Yep, there it goes. They have elected to play this game without an island in play so far. Okay, I'm going to fetch and then play Preordain. I'm fetching first, so if I top, I don't have to shuffle the cards away. And if I bottom anything, it doesn't get shuffled back in, or I have to deal with it right away. All right, I am going to go top, cast another Preordain. The Stern Scolding actually does look pretty good. Wasteland looks pretty bad. Bottom, top. And I will hold for one more turn, and then I'll try to play out Murktide with some various types of protection, none of which stop Swords to Plowshares. Wow, they missed their land drop entirely. They're going to clean up over there, and so Stifle and Wasteland are doing their job, even if they don't find a target. My opponent has chosen not to play with blue mana this game when they had access to it. I'm going to play a 3/3 Murktide, because I just drew another one, and they very obviously kept on the strength of Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, okay. I gain 3 life and still have all my spells. There's a good chance they have multiple Swords to Plowshares for the hand that they've kept. I'll Spellbomb. Pain in the ass. All right, they get to draw a card and brick the other Murktide in my hand. They clearly just drew that, but it was a very good draw. Still missing that land. Daze, very powerful here. Good chance I'm just going to put a Brazen Borrower into play and start attacking this turn. All right, Brazen Borrower, I'll cast it. They're about to go discard to clean up, or discard to hand size, so playing this out gives them a chance to use a card before they discard it, but I think making them use it on my actual threat is worth it. And I have double answer to Bowmaster if that's what they've been sitting on. Triple answer to Bowmaster, actually. Wow, Force of Will. Playing around everything. Okay. Force pitching Daze. Spell Pierce. Alright. Now I can answer most things that might happen, but I'm not applying any pressure. No! Basic island. Not even a fetch land. Not even a underground sea. Literally basic island off the top. Fuck off, Tamio. I don't want to talk to you. My opponent's deck, though, is built to pick apart decks like this one. Like, they're playing the decks that I like to play. All else being equal. Like, I've made a career out of picking apart Delver decks with Swords to Plowshares decks. Another Tamio. Can't counter that one. Alright, Delver. This might be the first time Delver is triggered on my channel in like a year. It reveals a second Delver. Cool. Just what I wanted. Eventually they'll be good. Someday I'll have a spell. Swords to Plowshares. I'll Spell Pierce. Might not get a chance to do that again. And any spell in my graveyard is good for Murktide. Right, Tamio might become a Kaito here, but is definitely getting the clue, because if Delver's flipped, she's not going to block. Barrelgoyf. Oh my god. Well, luckily Daze is here. Do they have Force of Will? Am I getting double forced again to lose a game? Yup. Sure looks like it. Alright, here's Barrelgoyf. And it's already bigger than Dismember, so I need Brazen Borrower, Drowner, not Fairy Vandal. Alright. I guess I'll play it out, even though I'm pretty sure we've already lost. Oh my god! Triple Force of Will. Alright, well, I personally would have boarded out most of my forces in this matchup, but we did lose to 5 of them over 2 games, so maybe I'm wrong. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3. I got a threat and some disruption. I'm going to keep opponent's mauled to 6 so far. Okay, 6 cards in their hand. Burden Catacombs. Good news, it's not Oops All Spells. Bad news, it is almost certainly a different combo deck though. The username is Dark Depths. Should I just put Wasteland into play here? Without the hint from their username, I would play a land and represent Spell Pierce, so I guess that's what I'm going to do. Don't want to put too much stock in something that may or may not actually be what we're talking about. Forest and Lotus Petal in the same deck. I suspect they actually are Depths. Yeah, definitely. Sylvan Scrying. I'll Spell Pierce that. I might not get to cast another spell this game. If they get Stage or Depths and just slowly make it. The good news is my deck has 4 Wasteland and 4 Brazen Borrower. There's a good chance we're very good in this matchup. All right, park Wasteland in play Delver, start getting on board. Turbo Depth decks. That's tough to spit out. Yeah, usually play a bunch of Pithing Needles. I'm going to force this pitching Daze. I think this fight is worth having. Like I said, they can win without casting any spells. Like, yeah, if their next land drop is just Depths, then there's nothing to force a will for the rest of the game, and I'm taking 20. Misty Rainforest, don't reveal that. Ponder. Opponent, please don't have Orcish Bowmaster in your deck. We did it. Okay. I could set up this Delver to flip, or I could get a second one in. I think I want the second one. I'm going to attack with the first one. If they have Endurance in their main deck, Dismember could line up. Just trying to think of literally anything that could go wrong here. From 3 cards in hand, if they go Pithing Needle, I Wasteland. In response, they Crop Rotate for Depths. Yeah, I mean, they could beat me from 3 cards here. If they have the perfect 3. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, they're Besageing. All right. Then I guess I will Wasteland their Stage while I can. They could Crop Rotate it away, but that's Stage, which can replace itself with a Stage or a Depths, but then they need both pieces. And they need to do it off the top. Okay. But they are going to rotate. They got Depths, which means if they draw Vampire Hexmage, they can make a 20/20. If they draw Stage, they can make a 20/20, but there's a lot of blanks in their deck too. There's like 7 good draws in their deck right now. Of course, they have Crop Rotation, Sylvan Scrying, all those things that can help them find them. Go to Delta, you're killing me, Smalls. These Delvers. All right, attack for 2. We're doing the work. And now I could save this fetch to fetch in between the Delver triggers or after them, depending on if I like what I see or not. They took my Dismember. You got me good. That card was not going to help this game. All right, Delvers. How about it? Stifle. I like that. That beats Vampire Hexmage. And I'm going to hold back this Flooded Strand. They already saw it. But if I draw Brainstorm, I'd like to have it. If they have Stage, I can Time Walk them with my Stifle. Oh, that's bad. So I have to Stifle Stage activation. Stifling the Make a Merit Lage trigger will counter it, and then it'll just trigger again because the Dark Depths will still be in play with 0 counters on it. So I have to Time Walk them with this Stifle, use it here, attack them down to 4. Next turn they go again. I gotta find 1 more damage or a Wasteland or a Brazen Borrower right now. Okay, that's 1 more damage. Attack. Big Murky. Alright, now they can make a 20/20 and take 6. So they need a removal spell and the mana to cast it in their 2-card hand. Okay, they've created Merit Lage. It does not have haste. It wouldn't matter if it did. Oh my god. I don't think I want to show them that I have this card. I can win without it. But that is an out I forgot I was drawing to. If they have some trick here, which I cannot even conceive of, like if they somehow give Merit Lage lifelink for 0 mana, then I still have Sink into Stupor to win the game. Cool. Alright. Nice little tempo gaming there. Delver Secret's finally doing something. Unable to Scream. Quite good against Merit Lage. Brazen Borrower I like. Surgical is interesting because it doesn't help me stop the first Merit Lage, but I can take all the depths out of their deck after that. I have these Flood Pit Drowners too. Wow, my deck's really good against their deck. What are the bad cards? I think Stern Scolding and Daze can come out. I just have so many real cards to play that I don't think cheesing them with Daze is necessary. And they're a deck that definitely has Lotus Petal and probably has Elvish Spirit Guide. Yeah, this is what I'm doing. If we can't win this one, we don't deserve to win anything. All right, Wasteland and Drowner. I left in the Dismembers in case we got juked by Barrogoyf or some shit. I basically assume that all decks have Barrogoyf in their sideboard at this point. Duress. That will take Preordain. It can't take Drowner, which is the card that they probably actually have to worry about. Okay. That Brazen Bar, huge pain in the ass. Love it. Them taking Preordain over Dismember is a sign that they probably did not juke onto Barrogoyf. Either that or they have other problems to solve first. Thoughtseize. All right, well. Behold, my even more annoying card I now have access to. Yeah, Brazen Bar was gone. I didn't Wasteland the Urborg last turn because that is a way that this can spiral out on me. Like if they go Spirit Guide Crop Rotation in response to the Wasteland, then I haven't changed the game at all. Stifle could change the game. Lots of basics over there. Fairy Vandal. Okay, I can start applying pressure. Jeez. All right, well, they have smashed their way through 2 Answers to Merit Lage with 2 Thoughtseizes. The Wasteland is still in play, though. And, okay, they're more worried about Fairy Vandal than Floodpit's Drowner. They're recognizing that they can't get through this Wasteland quickly. I might just play Drowner here and start attacking. I'm going to go for it. Because as long as the Wasteland is in play, they can't make Merit Lage. And if I don't put them under any pressure, they'll figure it out eventually. This is where I hope they don't have Orcish Bowmaster. Never beating that card. All right, cool. They're just taking damage. We love that. That's being staged. The pieces are coming together over there. I don't need 2 fetch lands in play. Delver. All right, another threat. And the Stifle can buy me a turn against Merit Lage like it did last game. Even if they check the Wasteland somehow first. We've seen Boseiju and Pithing Needle that can check Wasteland. Dark Ritualing or Lotus Petaling out in Urborg. Vampire Hexmage. That card has first strike. Look out, everybody. But I do have this Dismember that's really not doing anything else. Crop rotating for depths here doesn't matter. All right, Delver. Force of Will revealed. I will draw that. I have 5 mana. They're going to have to do something to beat me here. Abrupt Decay. Hell yeah. Or just playing Legacy like it's 2015, and I'm here for it. Lotus Petal. I don't think that's the force target. This Drowner's been good for like 8 damage so far. Was it time? Abrupt Decay. Nope, they tap some mana and then change their mind. I am going to play out my land so I can Force of Will and still have Wasteland available. Ghost Quarter, that can hit my Wasteland. That's one of their ways out of this, but I can stifle that. Oh yeah. We're in the Elvish Spirit Guide hardcast phase of the game. I am not going to engage with that, with my Force of Will. I'm going to trust my deck to deliver another threat, and it did immediately. All right, attack with the Drowner. Oh, maybe I'm not supposed to do that. If they have Edicts, it's better if the Drowner's in play. Yeah, if I lose now to Sheoldred's Edict, I completely deserve it. All right, Murktide Regent. Go end this game, please. Again, awkwardly, Murktide Regent not actually big enough to end a game, arriving as a 5/5. If they Ghost Quarter my Wasteland, I will stifle that, and then Force of Will be off for the turn. But their hand would have to be Pithing Needle at Dark Depths to... Like, they'd have to Ghost Quarter, get stifled, play Pithing Needle, name Wasteland, but even then I would waste in response. Crop rotation. Okay. I'm going to let this resolve because I have faith in the Stifle to beat the Ghost Quarter. Unless their last card is Duress, then I'm actually in trouble. Stifle. Bang! Alright, last card has to be Pithing Needle here. Boseiju might do it. They've got a few things that could thread the needle here. That's not it. Okay, so they copy Dark Depths, Legend Rule applies, and now with this trigger on the stack, I Wasteland. That's the correct timing to do that to get the most value out of it. Defend the Rider. Wow. Okay. Target permanent gains hexproof and indestructible. All right. I've never seen that card in my life. But okay, cool. That is a piece that threads the needle. Now I have 2 turns to come up with an answer to this 2020, which my deck does play quite a few of. So I got a block with Murktide. Delver is actually low-key extra gas here because if it flips, it's a blocker. And whether it flips or not, I can use fetch lands to manipulate the top of my deck if I don't see the Brazen Borrower or Drowner or whatever it is I need. Okay, have to block. All right, Delver, help me out here. Top card is Spell Snare. I will reveal that so I can block and then fetch so I don't have to draw it. Big rips. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We get one more draw this game. Unless they draw Abrupt Decay, then we get 0 more draws this game. Defend the Rider. Sweet. Target permanent gains hexproof and indestructible. That's a lot of value off of 1 mana. Okay. Draw for turn. So many looks. Oh, baby. All right. Their hand would have to be Legolas's Quick Reflexes here. All right. I'm going to sink into Stupor. Not going to wait for their turn. Green in the pool. I can beat a Crop Rotation for Sujiri Step. Defend the Rider. I can beat that. Force of Will. Okay. We're back in it, team. They've got nothing going on. I've got nothing going on. I think I'm better from nothing than they are, but we'll see where it goes, I guess. Pithing Needle. Yep, that's probably going to name Wasteland. I don't care if it names Misty Rainforest. It taps for black. Yep, Wasteland. Come on, anything that deals damage. That deals damage and deals with Merit Age. Love it. Wow, they drew Depths. That's actually terrifying, and I am now not going to flash out my Brazen Borrower, because if they find a way to activate the Depths next turn, I'm just so in the garbage, and having 3 damage doesn't win the race. But now my cantrips are kicking in. Okay, sweet. 1, 2, 3. Do not shuffle. I get to play Delver here, and there is a guaranteed flip on top of my deck. If they draw a Thoughtseize, I can bounce Pithing Needle in response, and then at least have Brazen Borrower on an adventure, which is not where I want it, but it's better than having it nowhere. Delver reveals Brainstorm, the beats, and I'm going to pass. They've got 1 card in their hand. If it's Crop Rotation, I can still lose here, so I will not present the lethal attacker. Okay, opponent's at 1. Brainstorm time. Forest blue card Brazen Borrower feels like the right spread of cards to have. They made a game out of this with a sweet draft sideboard card that I did not draft a lot of Aether Drift. Never seen this card in life. But it is sweet. We got the GGs. Those were GGs. Yeah, this card, if it was Legolas's Quick Reflexes instead, would have beat my Sink into Stupor, but if it was Legacy's Quick Reflexes, it would not have beaten my Wasteland, so it's probably right to Insulate versus Wasteland in this metagame, but yeah, cool match, and we finally found someone who we are pretty well suited to beat. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables. I'm on the play in round number 4. I will keep this hand. I'm actually going to pass with Stern Scolding up rather than cast Ponder, because if they're Oops All Spells, Stern Scolding actually does get both of the creatures in that deck. If they lead on Tameo, this is a way I can snipe it before it becomes a problem in play, which has been steady throughout the league. Hell yeah. Sit down and shut up. We got her. And here, I want to Wasteland, then Ponder. Oh, Wasteland, then Delver's better. Maybe we'll actually successfully collapse an opponent's game plan. Oh, we're Doomsday. Fun. Okay, cool. Edge of Autumn sacking a land. So they're the Tamiyo build of Doomsday. That's a little spooky, actually. So if they fetch Ritual Doomsday here, they'll be at 9 and ready to party. That's not good for me. Shit. Oh no. Well, Doomsday's not a huge part of the metagame right now, and I feel like I'm reasonably set up for it. I've got consigns in here and the general get low to the ground, cause problems. Game plan is good against them. However, I'm not currently causing any problems. They've got 4 cards in hand plus the 5 they get in their Doomsday pile. They selected and then unselected the Edge of Autumn in their graveyard as part of the Doomsday pile, so they're still figuring that out if they want that or not. They've reselected the Edge of Autumn. They're currently can act with high confidence that I don't have Daze or Force of Will because I would have spent it on the Doomsday. But if I draw or ponder into one of those cards, that could bork their pile. Okay, they've made their decisions. They have Jace Wielder in their build. Ready to go big, it seems. All their forces are accounted for. I only count 2 Dazes. Demonic Council in multiples in here is fascinating. Are they that good at getting Delirium? Because they don't actually play any demons. That just seems like a really slow card in a deck that's otherwise really fast. Okay, they're at 9. Delver, let's do some work here. Delver sees Scalding Tarn. That's not what I want. I'm going to ponder. Leave myself a chance to hit Wasteland by not playing my land yet. Oh my god, this is every card I want. They're just out of order. I think Wasteland is more likely to be useful than Force of Will. I'd hit that before the Edge of Autumn goes back into the hand. That sucks, actually. There's one card, one Scalding Tarn away from being everything I wanted. Like, I wanted this turn to draw Force or Wasteland and then ponder into the other. And they were all there, just one card deep. Lion's Eye Diamond. Tough. That's going to be plenty of mana. If I even buy one turn, though, that's a big deal. If the Wasteland got me anywhere, I'll take it. Ooh, they're passing the turn. Fascinating. Now I have what's actually a pretty interesting decision. Do I reveal Force of Will? And they know they have to play around it? Yeah, I think I do. Because there is the option of just don't reveal off Delver, and I didn't have Force 2 turns ago, so how would I have it now? But I think hitting for 3 and really making them act if they're ready or not, here I come, is worth it. If they do an incomplete pile, where they like Thassa's Oracle with 1 card left, the Dismember's good. I could pay for Daze here, even if they come up with an island, which I did destroy. This is the fun part of playing with and against Doomsday. There are sequences of 5 cards they could have that beat me here. There are also sequences of 5 that don't. Maybe their sequence of 5 collapse when I Wasteland them. Maybe it collapsed to the Force. I'll never know. But if they could see the future, they could have built a pile to beat Wasteland and Force. Alright, cool. Got away with that one. Consigned to Memories coming in. I don't think I actually want Dismember in. Brazen Borrower is not great, but it's also not nothing. I'll take it. Unable to Scream does not interact favorably with Thassa's Oracle. Surgical Extraction, again, is good if I can get a Doomsday into their graveyard, and is bad if I can't. Blood Pit's Drowner, not great. It is a flash threat. I have a bunch of Stifles in my deck. Stern Scolding does get Tamiyo and Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, I think Brazen Borrower is probably better than Flood Pit's Drowner, but I don't have room for Surgical. I just don't want to cut any of these other cards I have. Let's go. If I had like a 3rd Dismember or the aforementioned Gut Shot or anything like that that's just not good, I would remove it for the Surgical, but I don't have those things. I like my hand. Wasteland's pretty powerful. It was a big part of winning that game. Consigned to Memory, one of the best sideboard cards. Able to apply pressure. I have one more land that I'd really want. Like if one of these islands was just Daze, I'd feel a lot better, but I'm not going to mull. I'm not going to be that stingy. Delta Petal. Are we going turn 1? Do we have a juke? What are we doing? Dark Ritual. Okay. Barrowgoyf. Well, I'm probably going to lose to that because I did board out my Dismembers. Start Scolding would have got it. I mean, being on the draw is tough. Okay, I think I'm just going to play Island and pass, and I got to take some hits from Barrowgoyf and hope that they don't have that high of a creature density that this will grow or draw cards that much. I could counter a mill trigger with consign, but I'm not gonna. All right, they're just looking for an extra piece here. 1 extra point of damage. Though it is awkward because if you want that card, then you can't attack with Barrogoyf. Kind of priced into surveilling no matter what there. All right, Goyf mills 2. Hit nothing. Didn't grow the Goyf, didn't grow a creature. That's what I need to see here. Okay. Brainstorm does not grow the Goyf. I could counter a Orcish Bowmaster if they had one. Doesn't look like they do. I found Brazen Borrower. That is my out to this situation here. I'm not interested in casting Preordain because that'll grow Barrogoyf. Ponder is the same. All right, I'm going to put back Preordain and Ponder. I'm probably not going to shuffle them away, but I don't want them right now. Oh, this is actually really interesting. Stern Scolding versus Barrogoyf with Lotus Petal in play. Oh no. I don't want that card in play. But whether it's in play or not, yeah, Stern Scolding can actually change the power and toughness of Barrogoyf while it's on this. Or Lotus Petal can change the power and toughness while Barrogoyf's on the stack because it's a star. All right. I'll shuffle away that Ponder and Preordain to Stern Scold this. That does grow Barrogoyf by 1. I'm going to have to bounce it and deal with it another way. But I'm not going to beat a Tamiyo either. In some ways, I'm more scared of the Tamiyo than of the Barrogoyf. Oh, they hit Tamiyo off of Barrogoyf. God dang it. All right, well, now I'm pretty cooked. And Barrogoyf hit a sorcery and artifact, so we're in maximum Insano zone. Force of Will is how I get out of this, so I'm going to brainstorm. I'm going to keep looking. Murktide. That is not big enough yet. All right, I don't think I'm going to Wasteland twice this game. Am I going to Wasteland at all? I can make that decision later. All right. Shuffle away those bad cards. Ponder. Okay, there's Force and another Borrower. I'm going to go Brainstorm, Force, Borrower, and I will draw here. Okay, so I think my plan is to take this hit, Brazen Borrow, Force Barrogoyf on the way back down, then figure out what I'm going to do about Tamiyo. I can consign a Tamiyo flip trigger. I'm not going to fight over this Barrogoyf trigger. Please don't hit another Barrogoyf. All right, yeah, they just milled a bunch of stuff. I'm okay versus Thoughtseize here because I hid the Force and I have 2 of the other thing I care about. Please don't cast another Barrogoyf. I need that to not happen. Carpet of Flowers. All right, well. They already had plenty of mana. Cracking a Clue. Cycling Street Wraith flips Tamiyo. Do I want to consign this? I think I do. I just don't want them buying back their Veils or Thoughtseizes. This next turn, this next sequence has to work, or I'm dead. All right. Petty Theft, Barrogoyf. They are a Daze deck. I could put Murktide in front of Tamiyo and just hope that they don't have Daze. I think I will do that. Full-size Murktide. They didn't Daze Murktide. They have 4 cards in their hand. One of them's Barrogoyf. 3 green in the pool. And Veil of Summer here would be such a beating. Pick your poison. I mean, I don't love that either, but I like it more than Veil of Summer. Murktide's dead. Demonic Council. Oh wow, they actually do have Delirium. Okay, so maybe this like grind pivot is where they put that to work. Are they going to Thoughtseize me here? What are they going to do with this Demonic Tutor? Cavern of Souls. Yep, I'm dead. Naming Lurgoyf. All right, can't win this game. Cool. All right, their sideboard plan is super grindy. I need these Dismembers in, unfortunately. Floodpit's Drowner looks better than it did before. Spell Snare. I think I can live without that. That counters Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Council. That's about it. Yeah, maybe that card shouldn't have been in the first place. -1 Preordain. True Name Nemesis does also park in front of Barrogoyf pretty well. It does not have Trample of all the words that it has. That's interesting. That applies pressure if it needs to, and blocks Barrogoyf if it needs to. Maybe that's better than Fairy Vandal. I'm trying to get really creative to respect both of their plans. Okay, this is what I got. All right, I will keep. This hand is good against both Doomsday and Barrogoyf. I am going to Ponder. If they have Dark Ritual Barrogoyf, it's not a huge deal. 2 Brazen Borrowers and a Consign. I kind of wanted a land here, but I will take these cards. Hiding the Consign from potential Thoughtseize if they did just pivot back to Doomsdaying. Ponder. Another land. Do I want 4 lands this game? Because I have to decide now. Probably. Okay. Borrower. Island, Misty, don't shuffle. Misty in play, Island on top. I can shuffle it away if information changes that I don't want that. Ponder. Target for Wasteland acquired. All right, I will draw the island, but I am going to Wasteland them this turn. Just keep you off Barragoyf as long as I can. And then I'm probably going to shuffle away the third Brazen Borrower. That feels like too many of that. Misty, Misty. Fetch. Another Wasteland. Okay. I'm just going to put that out to disincentivize fetching Undercity Sewers. If they want to play draw go with a bunch of fetch lands in play for the entire game, they're not moving forward either. Underground Sea. So Wasteland has a target. Bayou. Yeah, Carpet's a huge beating. They did have a tropical island in their deck, right? I hope they crack this Misty before they change phases, and then I can lock the Carpet in their hand forever. Like, I could just petty theft the Carpet in combat. I think I will. They won't get any mana out of it this turn. There is unfortunately a trop in their deck, so I can't just waste this Bayou and be done with Carpet. But that is a non-black source they have to fetch, but if Carpet's in play, it doesn't matter. So what am I even talking about? All right. Maybe I should have just forced it the first time. What am I doing here? All right, shit. All right, I fucked that turn up. I should have thought about whether I'm going to send it again. This card is just not beatable. Okay, I am going to hope that their hand cannot beat Force of Will, Dismember, Consign to Memory, and just not try to fight over the mana, which I already wasted a card on. Black, black, black in the pool, Barragoyf on the stack. Resolves. I have Dismember for that. End step, Brazen Borrower. I can Dismember anytime, so I'm gonna attack and see what happens first. They have a bunch of Veil of Summers in their deck, which is not a card I want to play against. I could Petty Theft the Barragoyf. Then if they Veil that, I'll Dismember in response, and I lose Petty Theft for it, but at least Barragoyf is gone. Brainstorm in response, sure. Okay, now I can spell Pierce a Veil of Summer. That actually went great. All right, Goyf is 3/4 now, and it's back in their hand. They could just drop it for free every turn, but Treading Water isn't the worst here. Barragoyf's back. Nile Spellbomb. Do I care about that? Not really. That does make Barragoyf potential. It represents Barragoyf being 4/5. I think that has to be okay. Murktide. And they haven't bombed me yet. Alright, gotta go for it. They would have to get a creature into their graveyard somehow to just outgrow. Or a creature into a graveyard somehow. I guess they could kill Brazen Borrower in response. And then, no, but then they'd have to Nile Spellbomb someone. They'd have to Spellbomb me, then kill Borrower here. I think if they had Veil, it would have happened last turn. Okay, that's just gone. And before I pass priority, Murktide. No Spellbombs here. That went surprisingly well. Now if they have to Force of Will or use something else on Murktide, that's a deal. All right, Abrupt Decay. Oh, they had it! Wow. If they Spellbombed me, and then Abrupt Decay Brazen Borrower, Goyf would have been 5/6, and I would have been in the garbage, and no counterspell could have stopped any part of this. Wow. Alright, I got away with something here. Fascinating. Alright, how many more Barragoyfs we got coming? They've had mana for them all of the last 3 turns and didn't play a second one. I'm just going to hope there isn't a second one. Declined Carpet. Good news, I hope. Beastorm. Fetch. Totally new hand over there. Undercity Sewer. Dumped Blue to Delta. Another Beastorm. Spell Pierce is on now for whatever their next spell may be, but they still have their Carpet in the second main for another burst of mana. A Carpet is going to make 3 black. Are we doomsdaying? 3 blue. Ponder. The wheels are still spinning over there. Pick my poison. I kind of want this. I'm going to force pitching Spell Pierce. They can't Veil of Summer here because they don't have green. And I would actually like to make them dead if I can. All right, we're spell bombing in response. Emergency dig. 2 blue floating. Cycling Street Wraith. Oh wow, that would have beat me on the Barragoyf play too. Yeah, letting that Nile Spellbomb resolve was actually really dangerous for me. Okay, they are now 2 hits from Murktide to dead. Brainstorm, let's move some cards around. Yo, alright. Put back 2 lands. And Force blue card Consign, or Backdoor Brazen Borrower are my options here. I'm not going to waste them. Taking them from 8 mana to 7 doesn't seem like the play. Declined Carpet. Wow! Whoa. Okay. So they messed up on that Nile Spellbomb turn. Just like objectively, all of the information was there. I think that maybe they didn't see the sequence of Spellbomb me first and then kill Brazen Borrower to make Barrow-Goy 5/6. Like there it is, 5/6. That is the number. That was a really important moment of understanding sequencing that we got away with, and it won us the whole game. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in the final round, positive record on the line. I am going to keep this. This is actually a member of my Patreon community who is generally on blue-white Dreadnought. I'm going to try to get up under this with the aggro Delver start. Stern Scolding. Not going to find a lot of targets in a deck full of 12/12s. I'm not going to aggressively brainstorm to try to flip Delver. I don't think that's that important. And Delver flipped anyway, rewarded, always had it, life is easy, etc. I think I do want to brainstorm for my next land, though, and hit the Delver. Nope, no love. All right, well, that's bad. I'm going to put back Stern Scolding and Murktide. All right, the first massive mana punish. We've got 17 actual lands plus Sink into Stupor, and 4 of those lands are Wasteland, so like 14 ways to cast spells in the deck. And that is not inappropriate, but it is low for a Magic deck, but it is appropriate for a monocolored Delver deck. I'm honestly impressed it took 5 rounds to get got by it. That's also why I haven't been mulling the 3 and 4 landers, because it is pretty important to have lands when you mull to 6, you might not see one. I'd rather try to figure it out with 7 cards than everything has to work with 5 cards. Basically, just as a Magic player. Okay, I have Daze. I also have Spell Pierce and Flusterstorm. I'm going to attack. I know my top card is Stern Scolding right now. I think this is a critical turn where Spell Pierce on something like Dress Down could be really important. Or having the extra help to win a fight, because they've seen the Daze off of Delver. Ancient Tomb. That's pretty good against Daze. Stock up. Well, I left my mana open for this moment. Let's have this fight. Forcing that. Okay. Deal. Alright, so we flushed a Force of Will out, which pitched a Force of Will. Daze now looking really bad that Ancient Tomb's in the mix here. But my opponent has to come up with a Null Drifter that can block Delver, or removal spells, because Phyrexian Dreadnought does not necessarily win this race. Alright, Brainstorm, don't betray me twice. I mean, I'll take the Force of Will, but that sucks. Put back Scolding and Murktide again, and I'll attack for 3. That was a look at 15 consecutive cards in my deck without a second land. Officially declared unlucky. But also, we're still playing. Another Ancient Tomb. Bullying these days is pretty hard. If an Ancient Tomb is tapped this turn, Dreadnought doesn't even win the race against me. Swords to Plowshares. That's really bad. Ugh. Alright. I'm gonna fight this fight. I could play the other Delver to replace this one, but I would just rather not. I am gonna Daze this and cost them 2 life. Because I'm gonna replay the other Delver. I stacked my Brainstorm so the second Delver would flip if I have to play it. Okay, they're down to 4. I go to 22. Do they have a Torpor Orb, and are they willing to go to 2 to play it? Oh yeah, they're in. Torpor Orb's down. Phyrexian Dreadnought's in. Race is on. I'm going to play this Delver and hope that the 3 cards they have don't kill me. Because Delver does kill them. I'm all in. 2 plows spent. Can't use Ancient Tomb. I did pitch my second Daze. Maybe I should have thought about that. Like pitched one of these Brainstorms or something. Though if they let it get to my turn to see if Delver flips before making a play, Flusterstorm turns on. Oh no, a 3rd land. I hate lands. I reveal Stern Scolding and hopefully attack for lethal. Wowee! Alright. Tempo Gaming. You love to see it. Unable to Scream, excellent. Brazen Borrower, excellent. Consigned to Memory, excellent. Powder Keg Ratchet Bomb, pretty good. Train Name Nemesis, not good. Dismember. That's good against Null Drifter. Not good against Phyrexian Dreadnought, which I'm bringing in a bunch of answers for. Floodprit's Drowner. Dr. Owner, the legend here. Stern Scolding, no thanks. Stifle, no thanks. Spell Snare could get the Torpor Orb, but not much else. Yeah, I think Snare's out. I like all my counters, all my bounces. Do I have one more cut? I better, because all these cards are really good. Maybe I shave a Daze on the draw versus the Ancient Tomb strategy. I think I can live with that. Let's go. Okay, 2 answers to a Big O. 3 if we count Consign, which I do. I'll keep. Lots of ability to move cards around. I have 2 lands. All to 6. Meticulous Archive. Kept the card on top. Alright, real talk, team. Cheese Wasteland. That could break down turn 2 stock up stuff. I am going to Cheese Wasteland. Hope I don't need that land long term. But I've got Ponder, Consign, Fluster. I can play on 1 land for a little while. Misty Rainforest. You got it. Sink into Stupor, importantly, is the blue source in my deck that doesn't cast Daze. Had it anyway. Okay. Now I actually think because I have a land lined up, I don't need to Ponder, and making sure nothing goes wrong with Consign or Fluster is a better use of my time. Like Flustering a stock up here would be pretty good. Consigning a Torpor Orb would be good. Okay, so Galving Tarn is not Ancient Tomb. Ponder, that's not my fight. Did not shuffle. Force of Will, I'll take it. Soporific Springs, zap it in. I think I want to use this turn to get Fairy Vandal down and start applying pressure. Because once I start pondering every turn after Fairy Vandal's down, I just steamroll damage for the rest of time. And although they are a tempo deck, their critical turns play like combo decks, and I want to not get comboed out if I can avoid it. Ancient Tomb. Alright, Daze looks bad now. Consign to memory, target this. And I'm not going to replicate it, because if they Force of Will this, I have Flusterstorm, we just get another card. Alright, that did result in mana unspent, but that's okay. We fought off a critical piece of their deck. Oh, nice. Now I can Fairy Vandal with Flusterstorm. I'm still holding these Ponders. My hand just doesn't need help right now, which is a great place to be. I beat you with 1 land. Look what I can do with 4. Another Torpor Orb. Disappointing. I could Force of Will this. I think I should. Their deck just gets so much better with that card in play. It also turns off Floodpit Drowner. The Dr. Owner. I'll never not call it that. Don't ask me to stop. And Fairy Vandal, flash into the end step. Suddenly, pressure. Look out. A Daze. Fun. Wow, okay. Wasteland is not bad here, especially since I just picked up Daze. Okay, I'm going to take the Wasteland. Get a little bonus action here. Attack. End of combat, I'm going to waste Ancient Tomb. I've already dealt the damage. I'm drawing Spell Pierce next turn. Soft Permission's got to line up. But I am pushing. How sick would it be if this was an island and you can pick it up and then cast Sink into Stupor with Daze? I'm glad they didn't do that. But my brain keeps repeating. Pick up Soporific Springs with Daze. That's a paper-only play. Swords to Plowshares. Fluster that with my Storm. And now Daze is online if they have another Plow. For this turn only. Oh no. Another land. Daze keeps getting worse. That's how Magic works. Okay, now spells cost 3 extra, but they don't know that. They don't know how much they cost extra. Could cost 1, 2, or 3 extra, and it's up to me. Did not fetch. That means liked multiple cards off the Brainstorm. That's scary. Now we're fetching down to 11. Stock up. This is as good a spot to put a Spell Pierce as any. With 4 mana, I just don't know how many more points we're going to get with that. And jumping in the Drowner versus saving it if they get a creature here now is pretty interesting. I think it's time to drown. Just got to push that damage. I'm drawing Flooded Strand this turn. Running out of gas in this tank. I need them to run out of life total before I run completely out of gas. Saving the Flooded Strand for Brainstorm. They fetch down to 6. 4 mana. What's Wrath of the Skies? Oh my god! What do you think of this Daze? Did we do it? Oh my god. I did not expect that Daze to find a hit. Especially not a hit that good. This is too many Flooded Strands now. I'm Flooded Strand flooded. They would be dead already if Fairy Vandal had triggered one more time this game. But I would be dead already if I had pitched that Ponder. All right, Ancient Tomb's off. They need another sweeper. Ancient Tomb, are they going out again? On their own terms, both games they lost by tapping their own Ancient Tomb. GG's. Where'd that game go? All right, it's gone. Okay, a positive record, a strong rally in the second half of the league. The type of deck we played against changed. We went from playing against decks that are just incredible card quality across the board in the Dimir and Esper Tempo decks, and then we played against decks that really care about specific things happening in Dark Depths, Doomsday, and Dreadnought. And we're quite good at picking apart decks that care about specific things happening. We're quite bad against decks that just every card is good. I think you probably should try to study your expected metagame if you're going to play this deck. The Fluster, Pierce, Snare, Scolding, Dismember, Drowner, Fairy Vandal, even the number of Stifles, all of these are flex slots. Almost the entire deck is flex slots. Probably even the number of preordains you play are flexible. Outside of Murktide, Force, your lands, Brainstorm, Delver, Ponder, you can change any of these cards, really. And while I love a sampler platter of I'm a little bit good at solving any problem, you're probably better off trying to actually understand the metagame you'll be playing in and playing like 3 spell snares if that's the good one for you, or pierces, or whatever, rather than I don't think this deck is good at casting a wide net, but it is good at picking apart targeted enemies. Concerns I have, which are pretty tough concerns to have right now, are the cards Orcish Bowmaster and Barrow-Goyf are both incredible against this deck, and both of those cards are in basically all of the best decks. Dismember's fine. I mentioned Gutshot. It's not pretty, but if we're in a Bowmaster meta, maybe 1 or 2 in the sideboard will get you where you need to go. Maybe that this split of you just play 3 Spell Snares or Stern Scoldings and really never let them have a Bowmaster. Maybe that's what we have to do. And cards like Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce just don't help solve the Barrow-Goyf or the Bowmaster problem. Stern Scolding can clip an early Barrow-Goyf, though it does fall off eventually once the Barrow-Goyf is 3 power, because it does read that in hand in on the stack. That's not an effect that just only applies in play. Maybe Stern Scolding is better than Spell Snare if Bowmaster is the problem we're trying to solve. But you could spend hours just thinking about this. There's probably a Scryfall deep dive you could do to find some other creative thoughts. Maybe we should be main decking some Unable to Screams. Plenty of ideas here. All the blue cards that cost 0, 1, or 2 mana in the history of Magic are at your disposal. This is a cool place to enter Legacy. It obviously has some problems that splashing a second color, buying some dual lands would help solve, but if you're trying to enter the format without spending hundreds of dollars on lands, you can do it here. William, thank you for asking me to do this. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.